When it comes to villains in cartoon shows, it's hard to say which one is the best. Sure, you had cute villains like Mojo Jojo or Dr. Doofenshmirtz that weren't taken so seriously. They were just a nuisance that would more or less get defeated in the same episode.
What kind of a plumber are you? A platypus plumber? Perry the platypus plumber? Perry the platypus!
But there were also the villains who relentlessly tormented our main characters from start to finish. Characters like Aku and the Lich were both terrifying and unforgettable, the kind of villains whose presence lingered long after the episode ended. But there's one villain that I'd argue is even more haunting, a character that was always watching you and you didn't even know, a character that knows exactly what makes you tick and what makes you break, a character that manipulated some of the smartest minds in history and ultimately tore apart reality, not out of hatred but out of sheer amusement. This is the full story of Bill Cipher, the Prophet of Pandeomonium. If you're new around here, please subscribe. I make video essays on all kinds of shows, movies, and games, and if you want more Gravity Falls content, I have many ideas planned for the future. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like. With that out of the way, let's get to the video. Let's start at the very beginning of Gravity Falls, all the way back in episode 1. See, Bill doesn't appear in the traditional sense. Instead, his presence is shown subliminally through the various triangle and one-eyed imagery plastered throughout the background of scenes. But that's not all there is, because when you watch the intro for the first time, yeah, did you catch that? I remember seeing that for the first time at the age of 9, and I thought we were all cooked. I thought the Illuminati took over Disney for real. Yeah, remember the Illuminati? So I tried my hardest to pause at the right moment, and we see this, a mysterious triangle with one eye surrounded by symbols and weird ciphers. All of these symbols would eventually show up in the series, yet their true purpose remained a mystery. What makes it even creepier is that this triangle appears at the end of the theme song in every episode, a subtle reminder that this one-eyed triangle isn't just watching the characters, it's watching you. Let's now skip to the episode Dreamscapers. Gideon wants the deed to the mystery shack and decides to go all in. He decides to summon the infamous triangle with one eye. Mabel and Seuss bear witness to him performing this creepy ritual.
It's backwards message, backwards message, backwards message.
Oh, that's a big
Oh, Mitchell!
from the creator Alex Hirsch. You gotta love it. And so, for the first time, Bill Cipher appears in the flesh, or in the geometric flesh. He says it's good to be back and already knows Gideon's name.
How do you know my name?
Oh, I know lots of things.
I remember the countless theories that spawned from that 3-second snippet. The first thing he does is take out a deer's teeth. That alone is enough to show you that this guy is not meant to be with. An incredible introduction to a villain. Gideon tells him to go into the mind of Stanford Pines and find out the code to a secret safe that houses the deed to the Mystery Shack, where he says,
Wait, Stan Pines. You know what, kid? You've convinced me. I'm sold.
the way he pauses at the mention of that name. Clear foreshadowing that he's run in with Stan before, just not the Stan that we know. This convinces Bill, and he says he needs help with working on something of his. He keeps it vague and says they'll work out the details later. And so this is the first time we see Bill make a deal on screen. Mabel and Seuss return to tell Dipper about Bill. He realizes that he's seen reference to him before in the journal. It reads,
"Beware Bill, the most powerful and dangerous creature I've ever encountered."
And a do not summon at all costs message. The author also warns against never letting Bill enter your mind. What I love about this page is not just the creepy, ominous drawing of Bill, the proportions make him all the more unsettling, but it's the blood splatter on the page. Gravity Falls love to imply dark moments without outrightly showing them, mainly because it's still a Disney show. These dark implications only get worse as the show goes on. Soon after, they witness the shadow of Bill entering Stan's mind and jump in after him. That's when they come face to face with him, and Bill says something interesting to the trio.
Ah, Stan's family, we meet at last. Question mark, shooting star, pine tree. I had a hunch I might bump into you.
He doesn't call them by their names, but by their associated symbols on the Bill Cipher wheel. An important detail for later. They go deep into Stan's mind after Bill, and when he finds the memory of Stan entering the code for the safe, Mabel ends up shooting the memory out of his hand into the bottomless pit. I'll get back to the irony of the scene when we get to the Book of Bill. Seeing this, Cipher unleashes his fury on everyone. He starts conjuring up all their fears, and just as he's about to destroy them, Dipper appears and reveals that in the mindscape, Mabel and Seuss can imagine anything they want. They push Bill to the edge until he puts a stop to everything. He doesn't continue fighting, however. He instead commends them on their bravery.
You know, I'm impressed with you guys. You're a lot more clever than you look, so I'm gonna let you kids off the hook. You might come in handy later.
This is major foreshadowing for what Bill does in future episodes to come. He also states that there will come a time when everything they care about will change. And he says,
Until then, I'll be watching you. I'll be watching you.
This was a fantastic introduction to Bill Cipher's character. He's witty, chaotic, and every line he delivers is pure gold. Alex Hirsch did a great job voicing him. We did at least get an answer to what this triangle demon that haunted us ever since the first episode, but he also brought along with him so many more questions. There were clear hints that he had connections to the author of the journal, deeply personal ones, and though the trio managed to defeat him, it's obvious he wasn't giving it his all. He promised they'd be useful to him later, a promise that comes true in season 2's sock opera. After Dipper finds this mysterious computer, which he believes belongs to the author, he finds that it requires a password. Mabel agrees to help him figure it out, but unbeknownst to them, Bill lurks in the shadows, watching them closely. After she ditches Dipper because she's a simp, the boy stays up all night trying every possible password when the dream demon appears to him once again. He says to Dipper that he's been watching him ever since the last time they met, and he's quite impressed with him. Dipper isn't fazed by his compliments, so Bill cuts the bullshit and offers Dipper the password in exchange for a small favor. Of course, the show keeps his plans intentionally vague, and to no one's surprise, Dipper refuses. So Bill tells him to sleep on it. He then does this.
Hey, want to hear my impression of you in about 3 seconds? Ah!
So it's clear from this interaction that Bill can see elements of the future, something else I'll touch on later. Afterwards, Dipper is left to work on the password alone, courtesy of Mabel going full throttle into her simp antics, but unfortunately, because of the number of failed attempts he's done, the computer enters a countdown sequence and will erase all data in 5 minutes. Bill then appears, making good use of the design of that glass that looks exactly like him, and offers Dipper the deal once again. He tells him to relax and that all he wants is a puppet. Dipper is hesitant, stating that Mabel worked hard on making all of them, and this is where we see Bill's manipulation at its strongest. He says,
"Besides, what's your sister done for you lately? How many times have you sacrificed for her, huh? And when has she ever returned the favor?"
In his desperation, Dipper agrees and shakes Bill's hand.
So what puppet are you gonna pick anyway?
Let's see. Eeny, meeny, miny.
And to no one's surprise, he takes over Dipper's body. He destroys the computer and starts inflicting pain on himself. He finds the pain funny and satisfying, since he hasn't inhabited a physical body in years. He then says that he's gonna find the journal and destroy it. Dipper's stuck in the mindscape, so the only person who can see him is Bill. Later, Dipper manages to possess a puppet and warns Mabel of what Bill is planning. The demon catches on and tries to manipulate Mabel the same way he did Dipper.
You didn't seem to have a problem taking it for your own play, or ditching him when he needed you. Give me the book or your play is ruined. There it is. I mean, who would sacrifice everything they've worked for just for their dumb sibling?
What great foreshadowing. Eventually, she defeats him by exploiting Dipper's weaknesses. Bill may be all-powerful in the mindscape, but not when he's possessing a body. And finally, Dipper gets his body back. And yet, just like last time, Bill tells the pair that something big is coming, and no matter what they do, they won't be able to stop it. After Stanford, the long-lost twin of Grunkle-Stan, comes out of the portal, revealing that he is the author of the journals, we learn a bit more about the origins of the portal. See, Stanford Pines was fascinated by anomalies because of his 6 fingers. So he came to Gravity Falls and found weirdness everywhere, strange phenomena, fascinating creatures, and many secrets. One thing stumped him, however. Why? Where did it all come from? That's when he called Fiddleford McGucket to help him create a portal in a weak spot in their dimension, to see where it all came from. During a test run, however, things go wrong and McGucket gets sucked into the portal. Ford manages to pull him back in, and we get these interesting lines. Okay, so you know we have to reverse this. Using the @bash cipher, this translates to Bill's cipher triangle. And then he says,
"When gravity falls and Earth becomes sky, fear the beast with just one eye."
He tells Ford to shut off the portal by any means necessary, as it could bring about the end of the world. I'll get back to exactly what McGucket saw later. He leaves the project and Stanford begins to hear whispers. His paranoia starts to grow immensely. This extends further to when he meets Stanley after many long years, saying,
Who is it? Have you come to steal my eyes?
And he inspects his brother's eyes closely. During his initial recounting, he deliberately withholds any mention of Bill, but these scenes highlight that his paranoia is likely a result of him. In the present, Stanford tears down the portal, but can't exactly destroy the rift it created, so he encases it in this globe. In the last Mabel Corrin, we're given some more answers to the relationship between Bill and Stanford. The one-eyed triangle appears to him in a dream, and they have what Bill would call a cute reunion. He tells Ford that shutting down the portal isn't gonna do anything, and that one day he's gonna slip up in protecting the rift, and when that happens, all hell is going to break loose. This causes Ford to improvise. While Mabel goes to retrieve the last ingredient that could Bill-proof the shack, Ford hooks Dipper up into a machine. machine that can stop Bill from possessing his mind. Stanford also reveals that he installed a metal plate in his head that stops Bill from entering. Now, just as an aside, Bill's powers seem kinda inconsistent. Initially, I thought you had to make a deal with Bill for him to possess you, like he needs your consent first. But in his first appearance, he makes a deal with Gideon and possesses Stanley's mind, who did not know of any of this. I'm not sure if this is ever explained in any journals or other spin-offs, so let me know down below if I'm missing something. Anyway, when Ford falls asleep, Dipper's curiosity gets the better of him. He hooks the machine up to Ford, hoping to peer into his memories and reveal the truth about what happened with Bill. What he finds is that in the past, the two had made a deal and seem to have become close friends. We then see an entire shrine dedicated to him. Dipper becomes paranoid, thinking that Bill has been possessing Ford ever since.
Just calm down.
Pine tree? Is that what you were going to call me?
I was gonna say please, kid.
He manages to convince Dipper, telling him to look closer at his pupils. We learn that back when Ford arrived in Gravity Falls, he eventually hit a roadblock in his research. He then found some ancient incantations of a being that knew pretty much everything. Ignoring the warnings on the wall though, he set Bill free by reading the incantation. That night, he had a dream and met Bill Cipher for the first time.
Hiya, smart guy. Whoa, don't have a heart attack. You're not 92 yet.
Another example of how amazing his dialogue is in the show. He charms Stanford, telling him that he appears every century to inspire one bright individual. They became partners, and he moved in and out of Ford's mind whenever he wanted. It's revealed that Bill is the one who gave him the idea of building the portal. Stanford even kept him a secret from McGucket, but when McGucket caught a glimpse of what's through the portal, Ford confronted Bill, who told him that when the portal's complete, his friends are gonna arrive and wreak havoc. Learning this, he shuts down the portal and hides the instructions throughout his various journals. This also explains why the shack is filled with images resembling Bill. Ford worshipped him before he found out about his true intentions. At the end of the episode, Mabel arrives with the unicorn hair, and Ford creates a barrier around the shack that protects everyone inside from Bill.
I guess I can't possess anyone inside the shack, so I'll just have to find my next pawn on the outside.
But who will it be? In the next episode, after Mabel gets upset at Dipper, realizing that summer is coming to an end and that she doesn't want to grow up, Blendon Blandon approaches her and offers her a deal. If she can find and give him the rift, he can make sure that summer can last forever. She then realizes that she's taken Dipper's bag by mistake and finds the rift inside it. She hands it over like an idiot and oops!
What?
Revealing that Bill was possessing him the entire time. The rift opens up and the end of the world begins. We then witness possibly the scariest and most unsettling credit scene I've seen in any cartoon, which had 12-year-old me stunned. We now arrive at the 3-part finale, Weirdmageddon. Bill assembles into his 3-dimensional form, brings over his friends, causes these weirdness bubbles to infect the land, and he even does this. I also can't continue without mentioning that he disrupts the entire theme song. We even see a dead Dipper.
Okay, don't you dare hurt my Dipper.
A cool detail is that the flash image of the Bill Cipher wheel no longer has the drawing of Bill anymore. Instead, it looks like it's been torn out, referencing how the demon is no longer a 2-dimensional being trapped in the mind dimension. Oh, and you know we have to reverse this. This is not only Bill saying this to us, but Alex Hirsch, the master troll himself. Mabel gets trapped in this orb, which we later find out is this fantastical dream realm, where summer can quite literally last forever. While all the chaos goes down, Ford tells Dipper that he has a weapon that can defeat Bill. Ford only has one shot, and after a weird bubble distracts him, he misses. The triangle, or should I say pyramid, holds Ford in place and offers him to join his band of weird creatures, referencing the fact that he has 6 fingers. Of course, he refuses, so Bill says,
And I know a riddle. Why did the old man do this?
This?
Because I needed a new back scratcher.
Dipper tries to fight back, gets his ass tossed, and Bill destroys all the journals. While he parties with the monsters in the pyramid, the time police arrive along with
Ugh, time baby.
See, this one line highlights that these two have some history together. It's revealed in the book of Bill Cipher that these two had an all-out war, which resulted in Bill winning and gaining control of time, explaining why he can see the future. Anywho, time police accuse him of invading a time officer's mind, that being Blendon, and Time Baby warns Bill that if he continues, his rift will rip apart reality. Hearing this, the madman vaporizes them with ease. The Cipher at the end of the episode reveals that Time Baby isn't fully dead, but that it'll take 1,000 years for him to reconstitute his molecules, and when he comes back, he's gonna be pissed. In part 2, Bill enacts phase 2 of his plan, which involves spreading his weirdness globally, but what he finds is a force field surrounding Gravity Falls, preventing him from leaving. So he decides to speak with Ford one last time about how to break down the barrier. This is where we get just a speck of his origin story.
You think those chains are tight? Imagine living in the second dimension. Flat minds in a flat world with flat dreams. I liberated my dimension, Stanford, and I'm here to liberate yours.
These lines have new meaning when we look at the Book of Bill, which again, I'll get to later. Stanford reveals that he studied this strange law of magnetism years ago, the thing that's keeping Bill bound to Gravity Falls, but that he would never tell him how to collapse it. At first, Bill offers him the ability to become an all-powerful god in exchange, but yet again, Ford does not accept. So the demon decides that he's just gonna go into Ford's mind and steal the info.
Not so fast! You know the rules, Bill. You may be able to haunt my dreams, but you can't enter my mind unless I shake your hand and let you in.
Again, Bill's powers seem a bit inconsistent since he was able to invade Stan Lee's mind before. Yes, Ford has the metal plate in his head that stops Bill, but then why does Bill even bother making deals? So either he can go inside anyone's mind when he feels like, provided they don't have a metal plate in their head, or he can't and there are rules? See, I'm not exactly sure, and I'm pretty sure the show doesn't explain this. Again, let me know down in the comments if I missed something. Perhaps some of the spin-off books can clarify this. Bill gets frustrated, telling him that there are other ways to make him talk, and in classic Bill fashion, he tortures Ford. But then, the Mystery Shack, now transformed into a robot by the main characters and the remaining townspeople, takes out all his henchmen, accompanied by a sick electric guitar remix of the main theme. Bill then realizes that there's one more way to get Ford to talk, by torturing Dipper and Mabel. So he gets out of his lair, fixes his bow, and seemingly destroys the Mystery Shack. But thanks to the force field Ford created, it's immune. And for once during the apocalypse, Bill shows a hint of fear. They manage to rip out his eye, which leaves him completely distracted. While his eye grows back, Dipper, Mabel, and the others launch into the pyramid to release all the townsfolk, including Ford. And finally, after years of waiting, we are given an answer as to what this cryptic Bill Cipher wheel in the theme song really is. Ford says he has one more way to defeat Bill and draws that wheel. It turns out years ago, he found these symbols in a cave. The natives of Gravity Falls prophesied that these symbols could defeat Bill and reverse all of his weirdness. Ford believed it to be superstition, but ever since coming back, he's encountered people with those symbols, like
Dipper, the pine tree. Mabel, the shooting star.
Meanwhile, Bill manages to find the weakness of the Mystery Shack robot, and we get one of his best lines.
Hey, Achilles! Nice work with the heel!
As the townsfolk place themselves on the wheel, Stanley's stubbornness causes everything to go wrong, and Bill arrives to turn almost everyone into these tapestries. He warns Ford once more to tell him how to break the barrier, or he'll have to say goodbye to the kids. But yet again,
I see everything! Ow! Not again! Why? Every time!
he then transforms into this terrifying Cthulhu demon and chases after them. All the while, Ford and Stanley come up with a simple but ingenious plan of outsmarting him. After he catches the two, he's about to end one of them when Ford agrees to let Bill into his mind.
Don't do it, Ford! It'll destroy the universe!
Yeah, when has Stanley ever spoken like that? Oh, and look, if you never noticed it the first time, Stanley here has 6 fingers. For someone who is all-powerful, Bill's a idiot. He shakes his hand, leaves his physical body, and enters what he thinks is Ford's mind. He is thrilled to be back, commenting on how empty but orderly it all is. But when he opens the only memory door, he sees Stanley.
What?
On the outside, Ford prepares the memory gun to erase all of his brother's memories, which in turn will eviscerate Bill. Stan's mind erupts into blue flames, and Bill can no longer use his powers. Stan tells the triangle demon to look at him as he dies, telling him that he shouldn't have messed with his family. Bill, in his desperation, tries to bargain with Stanley, but then we get this scene. It's fitting that the original Con Master we came to love was the one who ultimately defeated the almighty Cosmic Con Master. After Stan's mind is erased, the town goes back to normal, but we see that a statue of Bill, the one that was created when he left his physical form before entering Stanley's mind, is somewhere deep in a forest, and that's the last time we see Bill Cipher, at least for a few years. But before we get to that, let's go back to his death scene. And because Alex Hirsch is the true nerd here, let's reverse this, shall we? Now, what seems like pure gibberish is actually connected to the spin-off book, Dipper and Mabel and the Curse of the Time Pirate's Treasure. Although Hirsch has confirmed that this book isn't canon, he said there is one canon component, which is this page. Dipper and Mabel encounter this deity known as the Axolotl. Dipper asks him what he knows about Bill's cipher, to which he responds, 60 degrees that come in threes, watches from within birch trees, saw his own dimension burn, misses home and can't return, says he's happy, he's a liar, blame the arson for the fire, if he wants to shirk the blame, he'll have to invoke my name, one way to absolve his crime, a different form, a different time. Bill's reversed message before he dies is him asking the Axolotl to save him and give him another form, whatever that may be. This is probably something Hirsch included in the series in case he ever wants to revisit Gravity Falls and have Bill return. But I want to mention a big theory that was going around that relates to this. See, many people believed that Bill's different form, the form that the Axolotl gave him to absolve his crime, was that of Grunkle Stan's. Let's look at some connections. Stan frequently wears an eye patch, Bill has one eye. They're both voiced by Alex Hirsch. They're both notorious con men. There's even this line,
Alright, let's make it eeny, meeny, miny, you.
Eeny, meeny, miny.
all of these connections are too crazy to ignore, and it makes for their final confrontation even more powerful. If Stan were Bill in a previous life, this is Bill making up for his past wrongdoings by defeating his past self. It's a stretch, sure, but one I chose to believe until we got a solid answer, and that happened in 2024, in the Book of Bill's Cipher. This is a book that tells Bill's side of the story, from his origin story, his motivations, and reveals other secrets. The in-universe explanation is Stanford Pine saying that he found the Book of Bill, and it outright refuses to leave him. When he threw it in the trash, it just appeared under his pillow the next morning. He tells the reader that if any one of us has found this book, do not turn its pages, do not write your name, and do not believe a word that comes out of Bill's mouth. Well, it. This book has a bunch of cool lore tidbits about Bill and what he thinks of the other characters, but I'm just gonna focus on his backstory. Unlike other villains like Thanos, Bill didn't have a tragic backstory. He resided in a two-dimensional world where he was loved by all. So loved, in fact, that the president made his birthday a holiday. But you see, Bill was born with a rare genetic mutation. He could see into the third dimension. People in his world didn't even know what up meant, and talking about a supposed third dimension was illegal. Now, the way this page is framed is so interesting. Bill in real time tries to recall what happened, but we only see glimpses of his words while the rest are blurred with static. Bill says that every time he tries to remember, he hears a loud buzzing and then he blacks out. He then digresses, saying that he freed his dimension and that everyone is fine. Well, let's go back to what the Axolotl says. Saw his own dimension burn, misses home and can't return. Says he's happy, he's a liar. Blame the arson for the fire. This passage, the line he says to Ford,
I liberated my dimension, Stanford, and I'm here to liberate yours.
Along with the page in Bill's book, implies that he was the one who destroyed his own dimension. He is the arson and the fire. He just refuses to take responsibility. After this, Bill ended up in the Nightmare Realm and became a galactic ruler. This is also where he met and formed his gang of hench maniacs we see in Weirdmageddon. It was great for a few years, but slowly the Nightmare Realm began to collapse. Bill then went searching for a new dimension, our dimension, which was guarded by Time Baby. As I mentioned earlier, Bill defeated him in an intergalactic war, hurling him back in time to Earth. Fun fact, in the Gravity Falls universe, this is the reason the dinosaurs went extinct. The reason Bill wanted Earth specifically is that it had a weak spot between dimensions, and he needed one person to open the door and let him in. So he arrived in Gravity Falls, attracted by its anomalies and weird creatures. We learned that the first person to do his bidding was a shaman named Modoc the Wise. Bill convinced him to create the first portal. Everything was going well until the shaman had brief visions of what could only be Weirdmageddon. So he burned the portal and banned Bill from the valley with a curse. But more importantly, we also learned that the shaman was the one who made the infamous Bill Cipher Wheel prophecy. He told Bill that these symbols, when united, will defeat him. Bill laughed at first, seeing a star be one of the symbols, but he realized that the shaman was serious. So he looked into every future timeline and realized that he would eventually encounter these people. This explains why he knew of Seuss, Dipper, and Mabel and Dreamscaperers, and he says that he'll be ready for them. We also learned that Modoc the Wise, as a result of trying to build a portal for Bill, was the one who created the bottomless pit. If we go back to Dreamscaperers, you could say that Bill was technically at fault for losing Stan's memory in the bottomless pit. Hirsch and his ironic twists. Modoc was also the one who initially said the line,
And gravity falls, and Earth becomes sky. Fear the beast with just one eye.
Anyways, Bill, now being banished from Gravity Falls, attempts to get his portal built by talking to other humans, including ancient Egyptians and Aztecs. He became known across all different time periods, eventually encountering the Americans during the 20th century. The book goes on to reveal a clever in-universe explanation for the pyramid with the all-seeing eye on the dollar bill. Turns out, Bill terrorized them relentlessly that they put him on that dollar bill hoping that would make him stop. Anyway, Bill's plans to manipulate humans failed time and time again. He tries to subliminally haunt and manipulate people through animation and computers, but nothing worked. Then one day, Bill began laughing manically and was suddenly transported back to Gravity Falls. The shaman's curse had been broken by none other than Stanford Pines, or as Bill calls him, Cipher. This is where we see some of the lost pages of Journal 3, pages that Stanford ripped out to hide from Bill. We see the ups and downs of his and Ford's relationship. One particular scene I want to highlight is this one. When Ford comes across one of Stanley's scans on TV, Bill tells him to forget the past and move on, revealing the only surviving piece of his dimension, a single speck of dust. Ford asks him what destroyed his dimension, and the triangle replies ominously that it was destroyed
by a monster.
Ford offers to help Bill find and seek it out for revenge, but the triangle laughs coldly, stating, "Cipher, it would eat you alive." Now, on the surface, this could just be Bill not wanting to tell Ford what he did, but given that he blacks out a lot whenever trying to remember, you could make the case that Bill disassociates, calling whatever destroyed his world a monster. He is shown to have denial over what he did, especially when we look at what the axolotl says. You could even read this as Bill being scared of himself. At this point, Ford and Filford McGucket start working on the portal, but McGucket soon grows weary of the project. Bill, seeing Ford become complacent in building the portal, implants an important message that is a central theme presented in the very first episode of Gravity Falls: trust no one. To think that that was Bill who first stated this line, an incredible twist. Now, it's a bit unclear what happens next, but I assume that after this, McGucket gets sucked into the portal and then quits the project. Oh, also, we learn in Journal 3 that what McGucket saw in the portal was Bill taking off his own exoskeleton to feed. Also, just as a quick aside, I've skimmed through IRL Journal 3 and found no mention of Fiddleford supposedly seeing Bill take off his exoskeleton. Please let me know if I've missed anything here. The image traumatizes him.
Fear the beast with just one eye.
And it drives him to abandon the project, build a memory gun, and gradually lose his sanity. Ford then has a nightmare revealing Bill's true intentions, much like the shaman did, and decides to shut down the portal completely. By this point, Bill could possess Ford at will, especially while he slept, to gain access to the portal. In response, Ford installs a retinal scanner to block him. Since a possessed person's pupils change, Bill wouldn't be able to bypass it. The next morning, Ford wakes up to see blood on his knuckles, evidence that Bill was willing to use any means, no matter how brutal, to try and access the portal. After this, the two have an all-out war in Ford's mind. They try to torture each other, with Bill obviously winning. Not only does he make a VCR of all the humiliating things he did with Ford's body, but he also caused a deep, horrifying demonic trance that left Ford motionless. Cipher warned Ford that he has 72 hours to turn on the portal, and if he doesn't, he's gonna send someone to steal his eyes. This eventually leads to that scene in A Tale of Two Stands where Ford meets with Stanley and inspects his pupils. Bill often showed his comedic side in his manipulation, but this book showcased just how evil and terrifying he really is. When Bill paralyzed Ford in that horrifying trance, he describes that he felt his bones being pulled away from their sockets. Bill even says that if he wanted to, he could erase Stanford's memories, burst any sort of blood vessel, and basically make Ford kill himself. Kinda love seeing Hirsch go off the balls brutal that he never could on Disney. And so, Ford eventually gets sucked into the portal, leaving Bill back at square one. This page in the book does play on the fact that Bill was a bit upset at losing Ford, that they kind of had a will they won't their relationship. He was apparently so not upset that he got multiversally drunk and detained by interdimensional police. And finally, we now arrive at the present-ish. In the final chapter, we learn of Bill's plan to come back. We as the reader need to go back to Gravity Falls and shake the hand of his statue. We will then become possessed, Bill will create the portal, he'll kill the Pines family, and start Weirdmageddon 2.0. Unfortunately for him, Ford tells us that this book is Bill's last attempt at fighting his biggest fear, being forgotten. By reading it, we give him attention, but if we ignore it, Bill's powerless. We see some letters from the Pines family flaming Bill, and we as the reader no longer feel attached to the Triangle Demon. Bill sees into our minds and realizes that we don't want to help him, and his anger manifests once more. He yells to us, stating that it was Stanley who ultimately changed our minds, the one who defeated him. Now, it's revealed that when Bill died, he came face to face with the axolotl, courtesy of that reverse message that we see in the finale. Bill tried to plead his case to him, and the axolotl sends him to a neutral dimension outside of time, the Theraprism. Bill's basically stuck in therapy, and we learn that this book was some arts and crafts project he made. The final thing Bill says to us is that he's learned nothing in therapy, and that he never will. He recalls how we're just like the rest of the assholes he's tried to manipulate, like the shaman, the Egyptians, and Stanford. He's fine. And one day, when Gravity Falls and Earth become sky, we will once again fear the beast with just one eye. Do not doubt, someday, someone will let him out. Bill Cipher's character is very reminiscent of villains like Loki and the Joker. Loki is portrayed to be charming, luring his victims into a false sense of security before deploying his mischievous plans. Bill is the exact same, charming Ford to do his bidding, but then torturing him to no end. The Joker thrives on chaos and coincidentally laughs manically just as Cipher does. But there's one other thing that connects them, their origin story. See, in The Killing Joke, the Joker says,
"Sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another. If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice."
Suggesting that even he doesn't truly know his own origin. He's an unreliable narrator. Bill's the same. He can't recall what happened to his homeworld, everything just goes dark, and we are left with only fragments of his lore. As I stated earlier, it makes him slightly tragic and a bit more human. Who knew that a triangle demon was also susceptible to major PTSD? The Joker and Bill Cipher also share the fear of being forgotten, if we were to look at the video game Batman Arkham Knight. Bill Cipher is actually who I used as a major inspiration for the overarching villain in my fantasy fiction novel series, The Shattered Absolution. I wanted to add a lot of secrets and have this underlying feeling that the main villain has been there since the beginning, that he's always watching. Oh, and I decided to add secret codes because I'm that much of a Gravity Falls fanboy. Some aren't even just outright codes. Keep a close eye on names in the story. If this all sounds interesting to you, please check it out down below. If you enjoy stories like Gravity Falls, you will love it. I would greatly appreciate the support. Bill Cipher was a terrifying puppet master, no pun intended, and his manipulation stemmed from truth, yes, but also from his own insecurities.
I mean, who would sacrifice everything they've worked for just for their dumb sibling?
He was loved by many in his homeworld, but that love was never genuine. So when he sees a bond like Dipper and Mabel, and Stanley and Ford, it reminds him of what he never had. Bill Cipher hides his pain behind a smirk and laughter, or whatever Lovecraftian demon is behind that triangle. He caused his own dimension to burn, and a case could be made that he feels guilty for it all. Yet Bill has never really shown any signs of remorse. He's not a villain capable of change, and that's how he should be. Sometimes villains should remain twisted and irredeemable. It doesn't make them boring, it makes them unforgettable. Bill Cipher embodies chaos in its purest form. He's clever, cruel, and captivating. He's a nightmare personified, the echoing laughter that haunts the edges of your dreams. He's the embodiment of madness who uses his charm to manipulate anyone he can, and he will do anything to remain unforgotten. When he is present, nothing is safe, nothing is sacred. He leaves only delirium. Bill Cipher is, and always will be, the Prophet of Pandemonium. If you're new around here, please subscribe. I make video essays like this almost every week. If you made it to the end of this video, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and comment below some of your favorite Bill Cipher moments. Consider joining my Patreon for early access, joining my Discord, following all my socials, and again, grabbing my book The Shattered Absolution. And I want to thank you once again for watching.